In this sample, I'm going to show you how to create a layout using div tags without actually having to go into the template. So if you want to do something that's different. So I'm going to start by creating a new file, and this is for Lab 11, so it's going to be File, New, HTML, and I'm going to have it with none, and we're going to set it with HTML5. Actually, I could do a one column fixed and centered, and we want this as a new file. It'll simplify things if I just have it created this way. Actually, I want to do this one completely without templates, so we're going to have to choose none. Okay, so HTML5, choosing none, we're going to put in everything. So we're going to have to create our CSS in a second. So here I am with my nice blank starting point. And this is going to be the basis for Lab 11, where we're going to get into JavaScript. So that's why I'm going to lay it out the way I am. All right, I'm going to start by creating my CSS styles. And we're going to start one piece at a time. We're just going to start by making the, adding a body tag here. Make sure you choose body, tag and body, and hit OK. And here I'm going to set the background color to black. And I'm going to set the font to, I want it to be fairly large. I want it to be 1.3 M. I want the font family to be any sans serif. And I want the font color to be white. It'd probably be easier to read if it is slightly bolder than normal. And I'm going to hit OK. Now let's see what it did here. This probably put it in the heading. And this, you should know how to do this anyway. If you're going to take this out and make an external style sheet, which is a step I should have done, let me save this first. File, save as. And I'm going to put it, I am obviously working on my Mac. And I'm going to call it index.html. I'm going to do a file, new. Then I'm going to choose CSS. I'm going to choose create. And notice this part has to stay at the top of your CSS. If you copy it from internal to external, and people do this all the time, I'm going to cut it out of here. And I'm going to paste it here. And then I'm going to save this. And again, I want to save it in Lab 11. Lab 11 CSS. Then I'm going to get rid of these style tags here. We'll go ahead and title this. Lab 11 JavaScript. Notice the style goes away. For the class here, I'm going to choose Attach Style Sheet. I'm going to go browse for it. Choose Open. Link. OK. And now I have my external style sheet. I could have done that before I put any styles in it. So now once that happens, I don't need to have this open at the top. I can just go back and forth because these are both applying to the same document. Now I could go through and hand code here, and I have to be honest with you, that's the way I typically prefer to develop. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and go purely to design mode. And I'm just going to start adding things. I'm going to start by inserting a layout object, a div tag. And I'm going to insert it at the insertion point. I'm not going to put a class on this, but I am going to put an ID on this, and I'm going to call it container. And I'm going to choose a new CSS rule for that. Container. I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to set it to be, I don't need to do the type, I've already done that at the body level. I'm going to set a different background color. Later I'll drop this out. This is just to help me differentiate on which section I'm working on. I'm going to set a width of 960, and margin is going to be 5 auto, 5 auto, and that should center it. Now this does not actually give me all the tools I want for this, because it doesn't give you an option for minimum height. So I can actually just go right in here, if I know my property, add property, and put in min height and make it 600 pixels. And this is really the way I design, where I almost always do my structure before my content. If I'm worried on doing content first, I'll do it out in Word. Actually, I do typically create all of my pictures first. I create all of my text first. I drop into Word and bring them in. I don't like typing into Dreamweaver. So in here, what I'm going to want is a row across the top, a spot for an image, and spot for text in the bottom. So I'm going to add another div tag in here to stretch across the top. So I'm going to insert layout object div tag. And I'm going to call it thumb, because my thumbnails are going to go in here. And I'm going to hit new CSS rule. OK. This one I want to change the background color. This one I'm just going to go ahead and put back to black. I'm going to have the box width. We're going to go ahead and stretch it. We're going to have it float in the center. We're going to have it be 500 pixels across. No, I want 550. I want the height to be 110. I've already set up my images, and that's what I'm basing this on. And again, I'm going to have the margins set at 5 auto, 5 auto. That should do it. There we go. So that's where my thumbnails are going to go. I'm going to hit enter once. Insert layout object div tag. ID will be main image, new CSS rule, and I want it to be 700 pixels wide, height 500 pixels wide, again centering it. This was going to be 30 pixels, auto, 30 pixels, auto. And this one I actually want to center anything that's in it, center, middle. And I apparently didn't set a background color on that, and I wanted to, so make sure that I'm these went in the wrong place. Look at that. Okay. So I'm going to do my split view here. I thought I'd taken these styles out. Command X. Command V. Main image. And since I'm right here, I'll just top in background color. black there, and there we go. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my source code, cut that out, and then I'm going to want a spot for text on my footer. So I'm already seeing that my body height is not quite big enough, so I can go back into design mode. Actually, I think that's fine. I think I'm gonna put in I want a spot for a title. I think I'll just leave the title up at the top here, and I will just call it image title. So this is pretty much the way I'm going to set things up. I'm going to put in my initial images. So I'm going to go to Insert, Image, and I'm going to choose one small, open, alternate text 1. Okay. And I actually want to play with my CSS on image tags, so I'm going to go into my CSS, and I'm going to add, this is a compound, so any images in here I want to set up some basic CSS for. So I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to go to Box. I'm going to play with these one at a time. Okay, I want that. Auto on the bottom and 5 on the left. I don't want 5 left on the left and on the right because then it would double up. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to put my next image in. Insert Image. And we're going to go find too small. Insert Image. Very small. Insert Image. For small. Okay, so I do actually want to have some extra padding in here, so I can actually go into my CSS Styles, and I'm going to look up my thumb section, and we're going to just double click on this. We're going to go into Box, Block. Let's try Text Line Center and see what that does for us. That is not perfect, but it is okay. Because it's adding a little padding here. We're going to dump that. So I'm going to go into my box. And we're going to do padding on the left, and I'm going to say 10 and hit apply. Now this, notice it's actually changing the size of my box when I apply the padding. You have to be aware that that's happening. Doesn't really matter here. That looks about the same to me. I'm pretty happy with that. Now for each of these images, to go to the next step, each one's going to need an ID. So this will be 1 thumb. Oh, can't start with a number, so we'll call it thumb 1. Thumb 1. Oh, that's 2. Thumb 1. Thumb 3. Thumb 4. Okay. Image title's going right here. And I actually want I want an ID on this. Let's split that. I actually want to make that. Okay, that is my main image title. That's fine. So I'm going to just call that image title for right now. And then I want to get underneath it. I want to get rid of this non-breaking space. I'm going to go back to the design view. And I'm going to insert image. And this is going to be 1 large. Which appears to be missing. So I'll just put it in as 2 large, and I'll come back and fix that in a minute. And this is just going to be large. And I'm going to hit OK. And that didn't go in. That's because it's here. I don't want it here. I want it here. Okay, it's not going in there, so I'm going to have to split this. Because it's supposed to be inside of... I've got my main image there. I actually want this right here. I'm going to go completely into code for a second. To design. And here we're going to have to actually play with this for a second. I wanted image title to be on a new paragraph. And there we go. Okay, that's our setup for our JavaScript lab, and it shows you how to set up a layout using divs without going in and using the templates. So you can put those thumbnails left, right, side by doing floats and various things like that. This is just a basic way to set up your own layout using div tags. And if you're playing along for the JavaScript, that's how we set up the layout for Lab 11.